Hello, Hola, Konnichiwa, Salaam, Ciao Namaste. Peace to all. This is Soulology, the science of the soul. And let's discuss about why we really shouldn't judge people. What would be the nature of not judging people? What would be the importance of that? We go around judging people because we judge them based off of work ethic, relationships, family, friends, spouse, boyfriend. Um, we judge people based off of what they have or don't have. We judge people based off of how they look, the color of their skin, what their appearance may look like. We judge so many people based off this reality that we have. And we don't seem to want to put this in our mind that at the end of the day, you really have no real right to judge people, because think of it like this. Everyone is in their experience right now. Every person is experiencing themselves right now as they are. They are growing. They are learning more about who they are. They are perfecting what works for them within themselves and loving who they are and seeing the perfect beauty within who they are. They are becoming more prone to what they truly desire in their god or goddesshood. We have a knack, though, to judge people based off of the reality that we are so prone and focused on, which is the status quo. And you could say, well, I don't follow the status quo, but you use an objective from the entirety. You use, in a sense, a piece of what is known as the status quo to create what you feel to be judgmental. It's an interesting thing we do. The highest nature of who we are, there's no need to judge people, because of the factor being that you are still growing, you are still learning, you are still becoming. You're still learning to love yourself. And as I've always said, what you see in others, you see in yourself. To judge someone is only to judge yourself. And on top of that, it's the understanding and understanding of who we are that it can be scary to people. There's a statement said that it's not our darkness but our light that most frightens us. It terrifies us to death. To know how amazing we are is to our own well-being, believing that there is too much responsibility, it's too much work, too much care, too much of that. And that terrifies us because it allows every thought process we've had that we programmed into our very being, our very well-being, to be flawed. It terrifies us because it is reading a storybook. Like when we talk about, for example, this happens in our world today, what I call the princess effect with Disney. We have so many people believing that they have to be this fairy tale princess, have to get married to this Prince Charming, that they believe it. But what if all that was torn to pieces and shifted and put all the pieces back to be something new? It would terrify your ideal of it, or as we would call in when you talk about anthropology, for example, it would give you culture shock. And that is what happens to people. They have a culture shock of what is going on around them. When they hear something that does not suit their entirety of the world they know, when it is something new, they become in a culture shock of it and can't believe that piece of light of who they are. It is, for example, mentioning that death isn't real. It is a horizon of who you really are. It's one piece, but many people freak out about it. They freak out about it when you have people, for example, who talk about suicide. They freak out about it because of the fact that in our mindset we feel that to be wrong. And we can't comprehend the other side, which is that for some of those people, in a sense, even though, and we'll go into that in just a minute, even though, to some of those people, they wish to die with dignity. On the other side, those people feel alone. So some of us feel that they're not living to the fullest, but yet, look at us. We do the same thing. We work a job, we pay bills, and we do the same thing until we get a family, the house, the car, the kids, etc. We do that over and over and over and over and over again. And do not notice the factor that even after death, there is no such thing as death. There is only decay, better yet, of the body. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So you see that happening, and it makes you believe that, for example, death exists. That's one part. We judge people who understand and comprehend that ideology. That's one part, though. There are parts of us that, for example, believe we will judge people when we're talking about advancing yourself, when we're talking about someone, for example, going through their journey, just at the simplest. And we see what they're doing, whether it be they're out doing things that people feel are wrong, that aren't effective, that are negative, so that we call those persons, we call them names. We don't know what led them to that point. When someone is homeless out in the streets, we think those people trash, or we think nothing high of them. We think very less of them, as though they are not intelligent, that they are not smart enough to comprehend certain things. We don't look at it as we don't know their life story. We don't know how they got there. We look at people and we see them in that moment as a need for us to judge them. We look at people, and even from extensive lengths of times that we met them, and we judge them, and we don't seem to comprehend that everybody is going through a journey of their life. Everybody has a journey. And allowing that person to work through their journey is like allowing a caterpillar in its cocoon to prepare itself to be a butterfly. If you shake it around and just simply think that, oh, it's not worth its time trying to be some butterfly because it's worthless, it can't do anything. No, we've never seen any caterpillar become a butterfly or whatnot. We would, of course, that would be a flawed mistake because we've seen it, but that's how we act. When we see someone in their cocoon and they're still growing who they are, we will tell them how horrible they can be, or we will judge them for who they are. We will look at someone and we'll change our mind about them instead of observing them and realizing who they are. Observing them, growing with them. You have to be willing to see that everybody in this world is growing in some extent, shape, or form. So it's now up to a choice on, will you grow or will you judge? Will you watch people grow their experience? Or will you feel you have the need and the right to judge people you have no clue about? Ask yourself that question today. Remember how amazing, how beautiful, how divine, how magnificent you all are as the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within. So to everybody out there, have a good morning, a great afternoon, and a fantastic evening. Namaste.